Hello, and welcome to another episode of the M42 Adventures podcast. I am your host, Rick Trimmer, and today we have a guest that I've been excited to talk to for almost a year now. I actually had a conversation with him in the beginning about becoming on as a partner in M42 Adventures. Unfortunately, he just was afraid that he couldn't commit to what we needed, and totally understand, but just somebody that I really respect and look up to. And so his name is Danny Bolton, also known as the Boar Man. He lives in Hawaii and a good father and a good friend and a good dude. So I'm excited to jump into this one and have a conversation with Danny. Hope you enjoy. How many podcasts have you been on? You've probably been on quite a handful, haven't you?
Hmm, I stopped counting.
Did you? That many? Well,
I mean,
I'm
some just kind of blend together because I hop on so many calls with just good people, and a lot of them aren't recorded. So,
yeah.
um,
Yeah.
it's cool. The podcast scene is cool. I like to listen to other people's podcasts and conversations and stuff. So
Kind of
that's
where I'm at, man. You know my story. I will jump into that a little bit, but we've never met, right? We've never met in person.
hmm
And I got your contact info from Ryan Mickler, and I reached out to you, back in the day, what, probably I'm 9 months ago now, man. Life goes
yeah.
fast. And, um, and so you know my story, I thankfully don't have to work, don't have to, and so this is a passion for me. It's just something
hmm
everybody keeps saying, "How's M42 doing? How's the business going?" And I'm like, "I'm loving it, man." May not be making a lot of money, but
Yeah.
man, I get to meet and talk with cool individuals like yourself. So, I appreciate you taking the time. I know you're busy, hunting right now, right? I mean, you're always hunting.
No, I was gonna. My friend invited me out to Maui. He shot a nice doe last night.
Okay.
Um, but I couldn't swing it, so it's all good.
You're on the Big Island, right?
I'm on the Big Island. Yep.
And so you just kinda hop around islands like that, huh?
Yeah,
Somebody will
yeah,
call you and you'll
he
just
was
hop over?
yeah, he had a spot he wanted to hunt, and, he was only in town for a couple days before he went on a elk hunt, so I was just gonna go join him, and it just didn't work out. Had a parent-teacher conference thing that my daughter, last night for her school. I don't think it's teacher conference, it's more just like an open house, to meet all the teachers. So I did that, and so went to that instead and kinda just trying to button up stuff around the house before fall gets kinda busy.
Yeah, I love that, man. I love so you know what M42 is, right? You know probably better than just anybody. We had
Yeah,
a
it's
lotta
cool.
we had a lot of conversations. I was trying to think where I talked to you. I was in San Sebastian, Spain for one of the calls I remember walking around, and, we talked for like an hour or something, just kind of on a
Mhm.
whim, and I want, not past tense, I still want you,
Yeah.
involved. I love I'm sure you're getting pulled a million directions just because of your lifestyle and the person that you are. So you're probably in high demand, which is a great thing. That just shows, who you are and the life you built and, you know, uh who you are. So basically, I reached out to you and asked for you to partner with me, come on and do M42 Adventures in the beginning.
Yeah.
And I appreciated it because you listened first and you heard me, and then you thought about it for a few days, and then you came back and said you just couldn't. And I actually appreciate that because I think a lot of people will string you along, and kind of, hey, maybe, I'll just string Rick along and see where this leads someday.
Yeah.
And you were like, hey, man, listen, I've got some stuff going on. You've got some big things going on, and just couldn't do it. And I understand that and I respect that. But you were the first call that I made. Um, Ryan Mickler was actually offended. He says, I told him we were talking just kind of in a conversation,
Yeah.
and I says want to launch this new, business, and I called
Mhm.
Danny Bolton, and he was like, "Man, what? Why wouldn't you call me?" And I
Yeah.
says, "I honestly didn't. I thought you were too busy, anyway." But yeah, man, I just I said we never met. I just follow along on social media. I know that's not you know everything we are on what we
Mhm.
post and whatnot, but from everything I have seen and others talking about you, you just seem like the real deal. You seem like one of those few individuals who, I just think has life figured out.
Oh man, that sounds cool. I
That's a pretty
wish.
good intro, huh? That's a pretty
Yeah.
good intro, bro.
Yeah, and I appreciate the nice things that you
Yeah.
said about me and stuff. And yeah, with the business stuff, it usually if I'm gonna do something, I like to know that I can do it properly and go all out. And I know my once I get started on something, that's all my brain wants to focus on. That's kind of where I operate best. And I've kind of gotten myself to a point where I'm kind of mixed up in a lot of different things. And I'm already struggling with trying to hold everything together and just too much going on. Like I don't think my brain, the way my brain works, was meant to try juggle so many things at once. So I knew it just wasn't gonna at this point in time. Like I couldn't just dive fully into what we wanted to do, um, like how I wanted to do it. So it was like, okay, if I'm not gonna be able to do this and be proud of what we're doing, because I didn't have the time and brain capacity to do that, as I knew it wouldn't work for me. But it's been exciting to see it kind of roll out. I know you guys have done a couple trips already, and I love that. So it's been cool to watch.
Yeah, man, it's been fun. We it's going fast. Like you said, it's going quick with Ryan on board and his contacts and stuff. I know you're involved with like Montana Knife, right? They're friends of yours. We kind of now, I didn't before, but we're kind of running into the similar circles now. But they came on as a sponsor. Origin is a sponsor now. Mountain Ops is talking about it. I interviewed Trevor Farnes a couple days ago. So it's going, but if you ever the offer's still there, man. Like
Oh man,
my
appreciate that.
story, what I'm about. I want to be around good people.
Mm-hmm.
And so honestly, if it ever changes, please reach out, text me, and we can start those conversations right back up.
100%.
I'm
I
all
appreciate
ears.
that, Rick.
Um so yeah, man, let's talk a little bit about the Boar Man, that's your brand, right? That's kind of your persona, right?
Yeah, yeah. It's funny. Like that's just a nickname that was given to me by my brother-in-law.
Okay.
Um, just from hunting boars and stuff, and I've had a couple funny run-ins with them and been charged by them, and so it's kind of like the go-to thing to hunt here on the Big Island. We don't have deer. We have some other animals, but pigs are definitely what I've hunted most. So yeah, that nickname kind of just got given to me, and then we work out together too, me and my brother-in-law. So we're always joking around, making animal sounds at each other, just like when you're just getting after it and you're just like,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
so it kind of turned into more of that. Just, as far as the branding side of it goes, I've always loved building stuff like that. And I had a clothing company at one point when I was younger, a surf skate clothing company. So I kind of wanted to bring that same thing and that same, just the whole package of that, because when I had that clothing company, I was able to sit down and have an excuse to do artwork. Whereas like right now, if I wanted to sit down and draw, I kind of just feel like I'm wasting my time. Like I should be doing something else. I should be doing something productive or hanging out with my kids or, whatever it is. But I had an excuse to do those things and be creative. So I kind of wanted to do the same thing. So we made some shirts. Sornex printed them for me. They sold out and we need to do another run. But as far as also like the branding of it, I just found it interesting that how much it's helped me in my life to kind of let that animal side out and not hold it in, and how much of that is in us as far as our instincts go still. And so I just don't shy away from some of that. And also just trying to push other people into that and just kind of get to get after and kind of let that animal side loose a little bit.
Yeah, I love that. Ryan actually showed me a video of you hunting a goat. I think it was a goat or a sheep, with a
Oh,
knife.
as a sheep. Yeah, as a sheep.
That was unbelievable. That was unbelievable. I was just like, I saw that video and I'm like, man, this is my kind of guy. Just for your brain to even process to attempt that, just
Yeah.
shows me what kind of person you are, and so like you said with your brand and you know your images, I've seen your shirts and your hats and stuff like that,
Mm,
and it's just cool, man. It's just a cool, like you said, it's a good way to not only show kind of what you have inside, but also to get people to, like you're saying, look at that within themselves.
yeah.
I think if you kind of, I was actually talking to I actually own a screen printing company in Las Vegas that I started, called Undaunted Apparel. I started it 12 years ago, and it's about giving back to the to law enforcement and service
Hmm,
members and military is why I started it. Trying to create a brand
nice.
that meant something and supported my heroes, which are those people, not
Mhm,
not that celebrities are bad, but just my true heroes, which are veterans and military and first responders. Anyway, so we were talking about it yesterday about how we're all a brand. We are a brand. We are a walking, representation of ourselves, whether it's good or bad. And
mhm,
I think when you kind of put a label on it, like the Boar Man, I think that kind of would help me. And I haven't necessarily done this, so I'm actually going to kind of look at this. But like you're saying, it makes you it makes you kind of think, what am I? What is
mhm.
my what's inside me? So that's kind of a cool way to look at it.
Yeah, it's been fun, and you're right, like, sadly, everybody is a brand now. It just is what it is.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Well, it's just I think social media accentuated that because we had
Mhm,
that before. Like, I know friends who are professional skateboarders and surfers and stuff, and they had to think about that kind of stuff before social media. But really, they were probably the only ones having to think about that kind of stuff, because they were exposed to the media and whatnot. But now that everybody has social media and you kind of, yeah, it's weird. It's a weird thing, but yeah. What are you? What are you trying to tell people? Like when you meet
mhm.
people, what are you trying to inspire people to do? Some people like sometimes I don't think too much about it, and I just do. I just live my life and just be the way I am, and just have conversations and whatever, and whatever comes out of my mouth, I just don't think too much about. But then I see the effects of it, and I see some of the people that I've inspired to do stuff and I see the importance of that. So sometimes I do think, okay, is there something I could be doing better to do this better? Is there something else or some more of me that I could be sharing to kind of inspire people to do something that's kind of out of their comfort level? Because I feel like that once you get out of your comfort level, that's where you're really starting to enjoy life and make those memories. So yeah, it's been fun.
Yeah, I think, I actually had so I had do you know Eric Chesser? So
I
I
don't
had
know him
him.
well, but I know who he is and everything.
Yeah, he's a really good dude. I met him actually hunting in Hawaii on Molokai. I met him a couple years ago, and now he's become part of that core group that comes out every year, and we bow hunt on Molokai, for axis deer.
Mhm,
And I had him on the other day, and I'm kinda I think we are pretty similar, me and you, from the little bit of interaction. We're both family guys first. I think that's how
mhm.
obviously you passed on going over to Maui yesterday because you had something with your family, daughter. You
Yep.
have daughters or
I just have the one daughter, yeah.
okay. So family first kind of type deal where, and then I'm also with you where, and I talked to you a lot about this, in when I was in Spain and we were talking.
Mhm,
I want to, I have this struggle with, being on social media and trying to be in the spotlight and trying to become a brand. I have a really
mhm,
hard problem with that, but at the same time, I was talking to Eric Chesser because like we just went to Africa and there was 21 of us there and we had photographers there and videographers and all that stuff. And I was like, before I talked to Eric, it would have really bothered me having those people there filming everything. And it's like, I want to be in
mhm,
the moment. It was my two young boys, 9 and 12's first hunt
mhm.
ever. And I'm like, man, I don't want to ruin this by trying to capitalize on it or monetize it.
Yeah.
But at the same time, Eric said, like you're saying, I've been inspired by you. I have. I completely have.
Mm,
I see your life and gratefully, because I think we can get into the comparison game. And so when I look at your life, I think I'm doing pretty good myself, but
yeah.
but man, I think anybody out there looking at your life and what you post on social media can take it two ways. One, either you're bragging and I want to not follow him because it's a mirror in front of their face, or two, man, this is what's possible. And that's who I choose to be. I choose to look at what you're posting and be like, man, I want to fish every day. I want to hunt every day.
Yeah.
I want to go on cool
Heck yeah.
experiences fishing up in, where were you? Just Montana or something you posted or
We're in
Wyoming?
California. Yeah,
Oh, is
we're in
that
California.
California? Oh,
Yeah,
wow.
it's pretty
Whoa.
epic.
Geez, those had been the Sierra Nevadas then, huh, I guess, those
Mhm.
mountains, because you were in that didn't I don't picture that as California, right? That's northern.
Yeah, I think we were,
You're by Tahoe or something.
no, we were, like, over 10,000 feet, and
That's
some of those peaks
wild.
were over 12,000 feet.
Yeah. So I think, like you said, if it's used correctly, and I think you do use it correctly, I 100% do. It's never your stuff has never came off as arrogant or, that it just has always felt pure and genuine. But I think that's huge for people out there, that want to, you just are a person that I see enjoying life. Like
Mm.
you seem like a person who kind of, like I said, you have it all together, and I know you laugh at that, which I know we all have our struggles,
For
believe
sure.
me. But at the same time, you're doing it better than most. You're in that percentage of, you know, uh, bonding with people, and just enjoying life to the fullest. It seems to me.
Yeah, I mean, there's been a lot that kinda goes into that. A strange one that I was just thinking about the other day is this is kinda weird to say, but I've kind of always had this weird, strange feeling that I was gonna die young,
Whoa, that's
and
me too,
so
bro. That's me too.
yeah, so I think I've kinda stuffed a lot into my years so far, just thinking that but I've also neglected a lot, um, because I'm just like, "Well, this isn't that important right now because if I die tomorrow, I'm not really gonna worry about, um, this project that I didn't finish." So, there's been a good side and bad side to that, but, I've always kinda had this feeling that I wasn't gonna be on this earth that long, so I needed to kinda get as much as I could, when I could get it, and I've just been lucky enough to put myself in good positions, but I've had to consciously put myself there. I've done full-time jobs. I've done normal work. I know you come from a construction background. I could easily be pouring concrete every single day and making a healthy living at it. I've um, kind of passed up on a lot of things to be where I'm at, and I'm not sure where my life kinda woulda went if had I taken some other routes, and probably, honestly, sometimes I do desire just that normal and that consistency of just having a normal job,
Stability.
being able yeah, be able to go to a normal job, have some supervisor tell me what to do, and then I could just do that work and go home and not think about it and know where my paycheck's gonna come from. So, um it's been good though, life's been good, and definitely tried to share as much as I can, and the weird thing is that Hawaii, it took me a long time to get used to social media like you were saying. My account was private for a long time, and I didn't mind, like, posting stuff on a private account to just my friends because I know them well enough and I know the way they're gonna take it, but Hawaii, and I'm assuming this is other places, but I can only go off Hawaii from growing up here. If you're the one showing off and you're, just trying to brag, you're getting your ass kicked.
Oh, really?
So yeah, and it's been that way since you were a kid growing up in school. So the whole social media thing felt very awkward, and I kind of avoided it for a long time. Um, but I have seen the benefits of it. There's two sides of it. I've also lost work over it. I was doing a job for an automotive brand, and they wanted to see everybody's social medias, and you had to turn it in. I turned it in, and lo and behold, my account at that time was private. I made it public just to try to see if I get that job. And I didn't get that job. And I know that the person, one of my friends got it, which was really underqualified for what we were doing as far as work goes, but had the numbers right. And so part of me was on the work side. And then the healthy thing that I've seen is just the relationships that I've built through someone similar to yourself. Like I know that if I'm in Utah and I wanted to, if I was driving by, I'd be like, oh, I think I'm near where Rick lives. I should probably call him up and go see, go have a coffee or something. So the
100%.
relationships that I built, and I liked what you were talking about in the beginning is like, yeah, for work for you, maybe, you've done good as far as money goes, but that's not everything, right? Like community, how important is community to us? And so it's cool to see you on the podcast now and like building that community and stuff. So
So do you I have a few things with that. Do you
yeah.
still, because I have always told people that since I was a little boy, I've told, I've just always thought that I'm gonna die young. Same
Hmm.
thing. And my family would always say, You're crazy." But my father, my real dad, Rick, I'm named after him. He actually passed away at age 27. He got a sinus infection and it like abscessed into his brain and caused an
Wow.
aneurysm. And he died, healthy on Monday, died on Friday. And my mom was pregnant with me. She was 5 months pregnant with me, had two other, my brother and sister that were 5 and 3, and they were high school sweethearts. I mean, they had dated since the 7th grade, and it was just she said she would have taken her life if I wasn't in her belly.
Wow.
Just a very, very hard time for her, and I can't imagine, but so a couple questions there. I have that similar thought, and I've always had it, and, do you still have that at all? Or I mean, how old are you? You're 40? What are you?
Yeah. 39. So
39?
right at 40.
Do you still feel that way? Do you still kinda have that, like? Because
Um,
I kinda feel like I'm pushing the odds, but I still don't know that I'm gonna be an old man.
yeah. I don't, like, sadly, if they told me that I had cancer today, like, wouldn't be a surprise to me. I don't know.
Hmm,
It's just
mhm.
something that, like,
Just kinda waiting for it.
it wouldn't be a surprise to me. I'd be like, "Oh, yeah, okay, cool, whatever, like, what do I gotta do to figure this out," you know? And
Mhm.
maybe that's kinda my strange way of trying to be ready for it when it comes.
Mm,
Even though I can't tell you exactly how I'm gonna act when it does come, but I know that I've thought about it, and I know that I've definitely feel like I'm on borrowed time already, so which is a good thing, like, other than having, family, wife and daughter, and of course, my extended family and friends, but my life has been amazing, and I'm happy with the things that I've done, and I don't really have very many regrets. So, I'm feeling happy where I'm at, and the other thing too is I really don't wanna die on that hospital bed,
yeah. Yeah,
so
me
it's,
either.
like,
Yeah.
not really that exciting to me sounding. I'd
Yeah.
rather go down the
Yeah.
bowl of flames.
Yeah.
Um,
Are you a
but
spiritual guy? Are you a religious guy at all?
yeah,
Are you?
yeah, definitely. I'm not super religious. I definitely have my ins and outs, which is sad because it's like when you need it, it's there for you. And I definitely am not super strict with it, but I also have been very interested in just how psychology works,
Mhm.
and how having that hope and faith can go a long ways for people.
Mhm.
So yeah,
Yeah,
I don't.
I'm not real religious.
Mhm,
I actually just had so I had Trevor Farnes on. I told you I recorded with him a couple days ago. It's gonna be coming out in a month or so, but
mhm,
we got a backlog of people that we're trying to get on. But anyway, long story short, we talked a lot about faith. He's a very, very, very spiritual man,
mm,
and it's something I've struggled with. It is. It's just something I don't have that comfort of what happens when we die.
yeah.
I wish I did. I'm envious. I'm not in any position to deny at all.
Mhm,
But yeah, I think, and I, my mom always says, because they're very religious, and I grew up in the LDS faith, if you know what that
mm,
is. And she'll always say, Rick, it's better to live like there is a God and find out there's not than to live like there's not and find out there is, right? We always hear that.
yeah.
And I agree. I agree 100%. I think, that's absolutely true. But I always take it one step further. My grandfather passed away 5 years ago, and I was very, very, he was literally my best friend. And um, we spent, we just went on tons of trips, Alaska, Hawaii, all these different trips. We spent a lot of time together. And my sister was supposed to come on some of those trips, and she would cancel because of, yard work or whatever. She just kept canceling. And I spoke at his funeral, and she came up after and she says, I'm jealous of the time you got with grandpa, but I know I'll see him again. And I
Yeah,
says, I hope. But
yeah,
I'm one of those guys where, if somebody invites me to do something, I go do it because and so I think there's a pro and a con there. The pro is if you have that comfort, and I wish I had that to where something does happen. But also, I think a lot of people also think they have eternity and it's like, I hope we do, but I'm going to get it in today. I'm going to get it in, I'm going to go fishing with him today.
Yeah.
Do you does that resonate at
It's
all or?
yeah, it's funny. Like I was saying, like going back to the psychology of it, the thought of burning in hell for eternity sounds pretty brutal. So that should like scare anybody
Yeah. Yeah.
into just like having good morals. And that's kind of what I like about religions,
Mhm.
whatever they are, is just trying to keep
Yeah.
people on the right track.
Yep. A
And
compass.
some people need that, and I need that sometimes, but I'm pretty hard on myself and do a lot of self reflection on what I'm doing in my life and how I'm affecting others and how that's going to affect me later. So I can,
Almost like karma.
yeah,
You know,
for
I
sure.
believe a lot in that, you know,
Hmm.
just what goes around comes around. If you're a dirtbag,
Absolutely.
gonna come back whether you're religious or not. It's
Yeah,
gonna, you know, you just can't be a bad person and not eventually bring bad into your life.
totally.
Love
Yeah.
it.
So yeah, just kind of keeping myself on, on the right track. But as far as like thinking I have eternity, there's no, I'm like trying to get as much as I can before they dig a hole and throw me in it, you know? So,
Yeah. I'm with you, man, and you are. So I commend you on that. Switch gears a little. I didn't think this was going to go
hmm,
too religious, and I didn't have anything in religion in my notes. So I'm glad it did, though. I like knowing a little bit more of the depth of it. But um, so what do you, you know? I guess this is kind of a weird question, but it is something
hmm,
I'm curious about. I don't know if other listeners are, so I'm just going to go with me. But so you live this life. I see the life you're living. You're out fishing. You're out hunting. I mean, what do you do? What's your job? How do you, you know, how do you make ends meet? And you don't have to get necessarily
yeah.
specific, but what
No,
is
as of
how do
right
you
now,
live this life? Most people
yeah.
think to live your life, they have to be rich.
Hmm.
And maybe you are. Maybe you are filthy rich. I do not
Yeah.
know.
I am in
Are
certain
you?
ways. So like my bank account wouldn't reflect that,
Mm,
but I've definitely set myself up in the right situation to be able to do the things that I've done. And I could easily, I've always figured out a way to do these things no matter what.
mm.
Whether I had money or not, it didn't matter. I can get this stuff done no matter what. So, but spent a lot of years working, a lot of years saving to build the house that I'm living in. And that was a huge part of it because I did a lot of the work and I didn't pay someone else to do it.
Hey guys, let's step away from the conversation here with Danny real quick, and I just want to update you on a few things we have going on. As you know, if you listened last week, we announced our Costa Rica surf experience, and we launched it on Friday, and it is sold out. Less than 7 days, we sold all the spots, and that one is closed up. So we appreciate the support, appreciate people joining us. There's a wait list. If we get another 24 people to 28 people, we're going to open up another week. As of right now, that one is gone and sold out, so we're looking forward to that in the spring of next year. What we're going to announce next is we have Africa 2025. So I went to Africa this last year. There was 21 of us, and it was an absolute amazing experience. Top 3 in my 8 years of travel, South Africa. So August 7th to the 14th are going to be those dates. We're going to be getting that on the website here in the next few days, and it will go live. We already have a few people on the wait list on that one as well. So if you want to go to Africa, pay attention, watch us on social media, go to our website probably by this weekend, something like that, maybe the first of next week, and those will be going on sale. Wanted to update you on that. We also have the Genesis. It is open and live. It is free until the end of the year. We have 40 something members in there now, and a few mentors. Get in there. It's free. We're actually doing a giveaway. So if you join before Monday, we're giving away a Montana knife and a cutting board, a hat, some swag, stickers, stuff like that. And we're going to be doing that live on Monday at noon, the drawing for that. So if you hurry and enter the Genesis now, you can be entered to win that. It's over $500 value. You might as well. No purchase necessary, and the Genesis is free. That's what we got going on right now. We'll keep announcing more. We've got, I think, 7 experiences for next year. We're going to announce one every couple weeks as we get them ready and ready to launch. So keep listening, stay tuned, follow us on social media. Again, you can go to the website, m42adventures.com, and register for the Genesis and see all of our experiences and everything we have going on. Appreciate you. Have a good day, and let's get back to this conversation.
I don't have a huge mortgage. I still have a mortgage, but I know that if I was having to pay $4 or $5,000 a month or something, that I wouldn't be doing any of the things I'd be doing. I'd just be running the rat race every single day or trying to figure out ways to make more money. And I was doing a lot of driving instructing. I do it for different automotive brands. We do commercial stuff too, but was doing some driving instructing for the military, which is currently a little bit on hold. We're kind of getting some other stuff shaking and baking right now, but that was a main part of my income.
Mm.
And honestly, if I'm being honest with you, some of the income is straight from being like what you would call like an influencer. So I'm working with some of these brands and try to do my best to figure out what marketing wise we can do to help push some of that stuff. It's kind of a weird thing to look at, but I've gotten real comfortable with the fact of these brands. I like the people behind them, and I love the people behind these brands, and they have families, and everybody needs to make a paycheck to pay their bills, right? So some of these things, I'm just another one of those people who are just trying to do a job, and the more of whatever product it is that we're trying to sell, the more those families, get to make sure that their families eat. That's all there is to it. Like, so I definitely don't push anything that I don't believe in. I've always kind of been like that. Like I won't unbox something and be like, oh, this is the greatest product ever. I have to get my hands on it. I have to use it and really truly feel confident in myself to be able to tell someone else like, oh yeah, I like this product. So that's kind of been the latest, but some of the fishing stuff, like I'll go with my cousin and that some of that's work. Like some of the fishing we're doing is commercial fishing.
Mm.
So, and whatever other jobs pop up here and there, I get kind of weird little jobs that pop up here and there, but that's kind of like the quick rundown as far as what I do. But I've definitely had this vision for the last 20 years of what I thought my life wanted to look like. And it's taken me that long to be where I'm at. And I'm still not totally figured out with it. Like I struggle to pay the bills sometimes with some of the stuff. So I have to go get other work. But it's a interesting life. Like I love it. I love the things that I get to do. A lot of people don't see how much stuff goes on behind the scenes of trying to set up some of these trips. And especially if you're trying to document it, like you were talking about earlier,
Oh, it's tough.
if you're trying to document it, that's a whole different world.
It
And
is.
you're trying to make films and you're trying to get pictures and you're scheduling people. And I can fly by the seat of my pants and be like, oh yeah, we're going fishing today. Cool. I go fishing. I can shoot stuff on my cell phone, but there's going to be no one like that I call. Hey, are you ready to go fishing tomorrow? Can you grab your camera, this and that? I'll pay you this day
Mhm.
rate. And then like line up like, oh, can this company help pay for that guy to come? And, there's a lot of planning and stuff that goes on behind the scenes. It's not the most exciting part of what we do, but
But it's
it
necessary.
is what it is. Yeah, it's necessary.
Well, yeah, and so the few points on that I took out is, you know, I and I wasn't trying to put you on the spot. I just,
Yeah, no problem.
wanted to, I want people to understand. I have so many people because my lifestyle. I haven't worked for 8 years, been traveling with my family
Hmm.
for 90% of it, but I still live on a budget. I still am conscious of my spending. I could easily go out there and blow up my plans, by like you're saying, getting a big old fancy house or, just running up my debt. And so I love the fact because I hear so many people say, um, I want your life. I want your life. I want Danny
Yeah.
Bolton's life. And it's like, okay, well, here's how he does it. You know, I think most people just assume that you have to be rich. You started it off with, if you looked at my bank account, that's not where I'm necessarily rich. I'm rich in relationships and my experiences.
Hmm.
Most people don't realize that you can have these experiences if you are on a budget and you want that's I always tell people, they say, "Hey, I want your life." And I'm like, "Okay, well then sell your, $5,000 house payment, sell your house and get rid of your
Hmm.
mortgage." And they're like, "Oh, I don't want to do that." And I'm like, "Then you're choosing that."
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so I like to see that, um, to talk to somebody else like me, that
Hmm.
it's like it's possible. You just have to choose what you want to spend your money on. And then
Yeah.
like you
I
said on
think,
the Go ahead. Go ahead, yeah.
oh no, just to touch on that, the house payment's a huge part of it. Like that's always been especially knowing construction and building houses and stuff. I know what they cost. I know what people are selling them for, and I also know the structure of it. Like you're gonna go into this house, however much you're gonna pay for it, and you're gonna pay this fat mortgage, or you're gonna pay rent. It's one or
Yeah.
the other. Like that's
Mhm.
a big part of people's costs in their life is that. And then
Absolutely.
there's been so many things. Like if you want my quick rundown, yeah, sell your house. I took my family on the road for 6 months. We lived in a 4Runner. I packed up everything before I left. I lived in a van for 9 months when my daughter was a year and a half, 2.5. We did the 4Runner when she was a year. We did the van when she was 2. Worked and traveled when we're on the road. I lived in a tiny house that is 12 by 16, which is 192 square feet. I built that tiny house. I lived in that for 4 years to be able to build the house we're living in now. 192 square feet, queen size bed, 3 of us in it. Um, get kicked in the ribs every single night by my daughter. And knowing that I was trying to save up for putting myself in the position I'm in now, didn't go out to eat. Every time we did go out to eat, I don't get anything to drink. I get water. You look at how much drinks cost, and I don't drink alcohol. So thankfully, that's been a huge saver for me. But also, just you buy a soda and it's $2 or $3, whatever. I don't have those extra spending things. And so I've cut my life down to necessities, which gets kind of plain sometimes. But you got to be, like you said, people say they want it, but they don't want to live in 192 square feet. Um, some people do, and I'm very excited. And I've seen people do it, and I have other friends. So I'm not just the only one, but it takes uncomforts to get to the things that I wanted to do for me, and I can only speak for myself. But yeah, you just got to be willing to do it.
And I end up admiring that, I actually used a story, I don't know, a few podcasts ago where, um, I have a friend, we'll say, I don't wanna give away who it is. I think I did a little bit more on that podcast, I messed up, but, um,
Can
uh
edit that.
yeah, yeah, exactly. But we have a friend, family member, we'll say, that shows up to, family reunions, and we know that they don't have money, we know that they're living paycheck to paycheck, and working all the time. They can't make most family gatherings, vacations, all these types of things, and they always have brand new cars.
Yep.
And it's funny because they show up thinking that the 30 people there are saying, "Man, that's a nice new Dodge Challenger. That's a nice new, Dodge Ram." And instead, we're all there saying, "What are they doing?" Like,
Yeah.
don't buy a $60,000, truck or it's actually opposite. We think that when I see people, like you said, I still, I could afford pretty much anything I want right now, and I still get water when I go out to dinner. My
Yeah.
kids get water. They don't get sodas. I'm exactly with you. It's like we just make these little tweaks. I still use coupons. We have a Dixie Direct here in town that's a little card that you can go around to 100 restaurants and it's buy one, get one free. When we eat out, I use that
Hmm.
90% of the time. And it's like,
Yeah.
why not? It's like, it's not embarrassing. It's just smart.
Yeah.
But I think so many people driving down, uh, now when I see people that are living in, driving a older car or like you said, living in a smaller home, and I know that they're trying to grind and change um, their circumstances, I praise them,
Yep.
my house right now, I rent from my wife's parents and we have for a decade, but it's 1,100 square feet and there's gonna be 6 of us in 6 months. There's 5 of us in there right now. It's 3 bedrooms
Yeah.
and there's 5 of us. I mean, do the math. We're sharing rooms,
Yep.
we're sharing beds. And I it's funny because I still have people, come over to my house that are new, and I don't wanna say embarrassed because that is, um I don't want my wife's parents to feel bad, but it's an older home, it's tiny, but I'm still naturally, as a human, caught up in all this BS of what success is, and I still fall victim to it. People will show up. I have people come when anytime somebody comes new that hears my story, retired, whatever, all my story, and then they'll show up and be like, "This is where you live?"
Yeah.
Mm, That's the first thing that comes out of their mouth. And I says, "Yes," and that's what allows me to do all the things I do. But it's funny because I still battle that. I love nice
Yeah.
cars. I like nice cars.
Yes. Yeah, of course. And to like transfer that into like fun stuff.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
like that, that allows me the freedom, financial freedom to go do certain things. And people don't understand that how much, I had somebody assume that I'm getting sent on all these hunts. And while there has been some amazing hunts that I've been on just recently in the last 2 years, I'd say
Mhm.
a lot of them have not been just some, oh, here's some hunt you're going to go on. First of all, like I've never been guided on a hunt. And this last year was the first time I ever went to a place where like you actually had a guide just for whitetail.
Mhm.
But, when I first went elk hunting, because growing up here in Hawaii, you just hunt here, and you don't think so. I went elk hunting to a place that I really knew nothing about. And I bought a tag and I went and I struggled and I went 6 days without seeing anything. Seventh day, I heard one. Eighth day, I snuck in on a group and I got one down, and it was kind of, I know I put in the work, but it was also kind of luck,
With a
you
bow?
always have to have, yeah, with a bow.
Oh, that's tough.
And, but it was absolutely brutal. The hunt was brutal. I put in, you know, a lot of miles. I didn't get much sleep and I was trying to get it done, But I
Mhm.
had another friend who wants to go elk hunting and I told him and he's like, "Ooh, that sounds kind of hard." And I was like, "Yeah, it definitely was super hard." But he wanted the guarantee. He wants the guarantee that he's going to see one because the bull I shot was the only bull that I saw. The elk that he was with was the only elk that I saw. So after 8 days, I finally got into a group of one, got one down, but that's it. The other days were nothing. Um, so people want that guarantee for going to do stuff. So they're going to go pay a guide or whatever it is, or go to a place that actually has a lot of, I was happy just to go and pay for the over the counter tag and just go charge it. So there's a lot that
But
you can do a little. Yeah,
that's what makes you, that's what I respect about you is, when I come to Hawaii, I tell everybody, we're coming back next year. We got, 8 people coming out to Molokai next summer. And I'm like, "Listen, man, if it's about coming out and killing an animal, you're not invited. You're
yeah,
not, you know? If you come out, it's rough conditions, the place we stay at has mice running around, there's bugs, there's holes in the floor, it's just but I love it. I love it,
yeah,
it's what makes it the adventure for me, and like you said, I'm sure that when you got that elk on the 8th day, that every day that you go and you grind makes that 8th day special,
for sure.
to go out there the opening day, and if you woulda just lucked into one and killed it, it would've been a totally different,
Too
you
easy.
know yeah, yeah, and so I'm one of those guys where I want a little bit of hard. Obviously, we all wanna harvest an animal, that's the goal,
Mhm.
but I think that's what from what I get from you that makes you, somebody that I admire is that you get the big picture. It's I'm sure you were there in the mountains, you're tired, you're worn out, but you're like, "Man, look at that sunset."
Yeah,
Listen to these birds. Look at this beautiful land that I get to come to. It's just the people who are finding the negative, I don't want to be around. But the people that are finding the positive, I'm all for it.
yeah. What's funny about that though is that like and I don't know how anybody else is internally because I obviously can't see into their head, but like I can be pretty negative. That's why I choose to be positive,
Yeah, yeah.
Like
That's
I
funny.
can
Yeah.
I can be super hard on myself. I can be super
Yeah.
negative. I can criticize other people way more than some people know,
Yeah.
but I don't let that come out. And I
Yeah.
know and I
Yeah.
see it. I see it in my head and I'm like, it's probably not a good way to go about life. So then like I
Yeah.
make that flip. I'm like, yeah,
Yeah.
I don't want to be like that.
Yeah.
I see other people like that and I don't want to be like that.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna go this direction.
Yeah.
So it's a conscious decision. But I think just being aware of it gives me the opportunity to decide how I'm gonna live my life and what I'm actually gonna let come out of my head versus what.
I think we all have some of those thoughts, but, yeah, the other thing you brought up there was you're, influencing, and I'm new to that
Mhm.
world, this world
Yeah,
and all that, but like you said, I think it's got kind of a negative connotation, but at the same time, and I always tell everybody, vet your mentors, vet your coaches. You don't want to take advice from somebody that is not been there and done that. And like you said, that's kind of funny how you say a lot of people, they open the box and say, "This is amazing." And it's like, well, you're
Yeah.
opening the box. I've never really actually really thought about that. But, you're someone that, I think you are the perfect influencer because I do trust you. Even though we've never met, it just you
Yeah.
come off as a trustworthy individual, and I want to know the shortcuts. My wife, we when we were traveling around, the first few months, she was thinking she wanted to build a following and be an influencer, and I was against it. I says, "I don't wanna document it for anybody else. We don't need the money. I don't wanna have to stop and take a picture of a stroller because somebody's paying me to do it." I just was we fought about it. And, one of the first ones she got was this little tiny stroller, and we're out, like, in the cobblestones of England, and she's pushing around, it's bouncing along, and I'm like, "That thing's a
Yeah.
piece of crap," and maybe it's good for somewhere, but not here.
Yes. Not on the cobble.
Yeah, yeah, and I says, "You gotta make a decision." They paid you whatever, $1,000 to come out here and do 3 posts, but I'm like, "You need to reach out to them and say, 'Hey, this is, not for us.'" And she was like, "Ah, I want the money, and whatever." And I says, "Yeah, but you gotta make a decision right now. You gotta decide who you are." And she's like, "Yeah, you're right." So she sent it back and returned the money, and they actually reached back out and said, "Man, we've never had anybody do this.
Yeah.
What?" And like, "We have another model. We have another stroller with bigger wheels," and now they support her in everything she does because she was open and
That's
honest.
cool.
So I 100% believe that influencing can be a negative thing, but I also believe done right and with ethics, it's absolutely necessary, because um just seeing a lot of the stuff you use, Montana knives and, a lot of the brands that you are
Mhm.
using, I'm like, well, that he's out there, he's living this lifestyle, and I'm gonna pick up one of those knives. And I did, and they're amazing. It's like
Yeah.
so I do think that I want to touch a little bit on hunting and fishing for you. That's is that your purpose? I mean, is that kind of your passion? I mean, obviously your family is going to be, before that, but is that
Yeah.
what really calls to you? Is that?
100%.
Okay.
Yeah. I still think that we evolve as people, right? And, we went from being this caveman to where we're at now. But I truly believe like I was meant to be the guy that went out and had the confidence to be like, okay, I'll be back with food,
Hmm.
like, let me go get it, whether it's
Mhm.
hunting and fishing. I just feel like naturally I've been pretty good at it since being a little kid sneaking up on stuff too. And I didn't start bow hunting till later on, but just being sneaky and kind of understanding how animals are and being able to guess almost what they're going to do, which is a big part of it. But yeah, I truly feel like had I been born 500 years ago or whatever, that's probably would have been my role. And it
Mhm.
just gets totally skewed in today's reality because we have grocery stores and we don't need to hunt and fish like we used to. But, and I just was having this conversation with someone else is it also doesn't give the same, it doesn't have the same weight to it like it used to. When when I leave to go hunting, I don't have this pressure of I got to kill something or my family's going to die. I kind of do still put that pressure on myself, and maybe
Yeah.
that's what makes me pretty ruthless. But
Yeah.
that's not a real thing. It's
Yeah.
not. If I come home, I got food at home. I go to the grocery store. I can borrow and beg for food, whatever. So, but yeah, if you're asking me what I think my purpose was, it was that, and I'm trying to find a way to still feel that sense of purpose inside me because I feel like everybody needs that and to feel good about themselves and what they do. And I'm trying to figure out how to do that in a modern world.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's a lot what M42 is, just trying to get people out there to try new things and have an open mind and be a student, and if there was anybody more qualified to be a caveman, it's you because after watching that video, man, I like I said, I've hunted my most of my life. really, really picked it up when Ryan called me for Hawaii 4 or 5 years ago is when I really jumped back into it, and it's been more the the connections with people now that is my passion, hunting
Hmm.
is the, vessel, but the
Yeah.
people is what really is, held me, but after seeing that video of you and sneaking up on that goat, I mean, man, it's hard to get those buggers with a gun, let alone a bow, and then a
Yeah.
knife. It's like, bro, you are another level. Um, that was I he showed me that and I'm like, dude, I'm like, that thing is I didn't know you at
Yeah.
all then. I had never even heard of you. It was
Hmm.
it was like a year and a half ago or something. And I think that's probably what he showed me. And I'm like, all right, I gotta meet this guy.
Yeah.
But I was like, dude, that thing's gotta be like chained up or something, man, and it ran off,
Yeah.
you got up and I mean,
Mhm.
that was unbelievable, bro.
Yeah. That whole
Have you ever done that before or
scenario.
since? Have you ever is that a
No,
one-off?
no, and that was just an opportunistic thing. So because I was bow hunting for that,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
it just happened. That's just the way the cards played for me that day. And when you put time into the field, you're gonna run into weird situations like that. And
Yeah.
basically, what happened was I was expecting, and I watched that ram for a while, and it got into a perfect place where I could stalk it. I ran over there, popped up over this hill, thinking it was gonna be 30 yards away, and he had bedded down. So once he bedded down, um, I didn't know exactly where it was, but I had the wind right, and I poked up over this hill, and I seen where he bedded down, and there was no way, like, I would have had to stand over the top of him to shoot him. So I was like, "This is not."
He was kind of over a little
Yeah,
hill.
he was like dug. He had, so it's like a dug in part of the grass where the pigs
Okay,
dig in. They lean
okay.
against the. It's nice and cool in the dirt, kind of like mule
So
deer
he's in a
beds. Like
hole.
they make.
Yeah,
Yeah,
he's in
so
a
he's kind
hole.
of in a hole with his
Yeah.
back against the dirt, and
Yeah, facing away.
I would have had to be right over the top of him, and it just didn't make much sense to me. So honestly, like there wasn't much thought process going on. It was just like, I'm gonna make this thing happen. And my first thought was, I'm just gonna grab him.
Okay.
And
Yeah,
then
yeah.
like I was like, well, that's not gonna do me much. So I was like, well, I'll grab my knife. So like took my backpack off, set my bow down, and that's I was able to just like hit record on my phone, throw it on my backpack,
Dude.
and was like figuring it all out as I was sneaking up, like which hand I was gonna get him with. And then I realized if I stab him with my right hand, then he's probably gonna headbutt me because his head was on the left, and and I've almost got headbutted by a goat before. So I was like, okay, that's like their weapon, right? Like they
Yeah,
want to ram you.
yeah.
So I was like, okay, I need to get a hold of his weapons, and then at the same time, I need to, stab him. So
Yeah.
that all kind of played out in my head. It ended up working. Think like he did spin out, and I thought about holding because I could have held on to him and like re-gripped him or just
Mhm.
jumped on him, but I had a knife, so I was like, I don't want to be. This is the most dangerous. That knife was by far the most dangerous thing in that whole
Absolutely.
scenario.
Absolutely, yeah.
So I got him where I wanted to, right in the armpit, and once I knew it was in and he spun out of my hand, I just kinda let him run off, and he ran 20 yards, just like if you made a archery shot,
Yeah.
and he just ran and fell over, and, yeah, he just taking his air away and taking blood away. So, it was just the scenario played out, but it was a little, I wouldn't say disturbing, but it definitely gave me a way bigger respect for knives, and you're not gonna see me getting any knife fights. Like, anybody pulls out a
Yeah.
knife,
Yeah.
boom, I'm
I'm
like,
out.
I'm running
Yeah.
the other way.
Yeah, man, I honestly for you to get it on film, you had to have, because if you'd have told me that story, I'd have been like, "Okay, bro."
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, did it have 2 legs? Was
Mhm.
it already and so and I when I watched it, you know, I was like, "What made him think that I'm gonna do this?" And I can see where you're saying as far as it being in a hole as a hunter, I don't have a shot, but 9 out of 10 hunters, including me, would kinda give a little squeak or a whistle, wait for it to stand up and look around,
Yeah.
or just hang out until it did stand up, So the fact that you thought this is probably an option, dude, I just love that, man. I love that's just that primal, that Boar Man in you that is just another
Yeah.
level of crazy.
I don't know what it is. Like I said, there wasn't much thought process in it, but I definitely knew I wasn't waiting, and, um, yeah, certain scenarios you definitely wait for someone to stand up, but that
Yeah.
scenario is like, okay, I'm not waiting. I'm just gonna go in and get this thing done. And that was the goal, was just to go get meat that day, and so it didn't matter how that was gonna happen.
Yeah, what more? I mean, that's an absolute humane way to take an animal. Like you said, 20 yards and tips over. I mean, that can be tricky
Oh, he
even with
was,
an
yeah,
arrow, or a gun.
yeah, he was,
So that was
he,
that was a quick humane kill. It worked out. So,
yeah,
well, man, I know you got to run. I know you've given me an hour, and I won't take more than that. I really appreciate your time. Again, we haven't met, but again, I consider you a friend. If you ever need anything, I'm a phone call away. Whatever you need, I sincerely am there, however you would need me. If you ever get out to Utah, I would love to host you and your family, bring them out. We'll put them up in my cabin, and we'll go on some adventures for a day or two. Um,
I
Other than that,
appreciate
man,
that.
I sincerely appreciate you being who you are. If you ever want to join the M42 team,
Yeah.
you got my number,
Yeah, we'll do
brother.
something for sure. We'll do
Cool, man.
something in the future, and looking forward to it.
Cool. Yeah, even
Um,
an influencer. You were saying influencing. I would love to tell you more about what we're doing, and like I said, just any capacity. I'd love to. I'm all about friendships and you know, like I said, growing my web of people out there that are good people that are my
for sure.
people. So, how do people reach you, Danny? What's the best way to contact or get a hold of you?
Yeah, I mean, just Instagram. Like, I don't have a TikTok, or not really on Facebook. But if you want to see
Okay.
some of the stuff, it's just on Instagram, which is Danny Bolton. Um, it's just my name spelled out. And then, yeah, I mean, feel free to comment or DM if you have questions and stuff. I try to be pretty open with people, and definitely try to share the knowledge I have. I try not to hold anything to myself. I've been blessed with people in my life who've shared a lot of knowledge with me, and tried to, not shortcuts, but definitely give me that head start on certain things. So I try to do my best for other people as well.
Yeah, you do a good job of it, man. I said I'm a fan, quote unquote. I think you're doing
Yeah.
amazing things,
Thank
and
you, Rick.
hopefully we can shake hands one day. And cool, brother. I appreciate you, man. Have a good. You're in Hawaii, right? Paradise.
Yep.
All right,
Paradise.
brother. Yeah. Have a good
Okay.
one, man. Have a good weekend. Have a good. All right, so there you have it. My conversation with Danny Bolton, the one and only, one of one. I don't say that about a lot of people, but he is a guy who has honestly broken the mold, and I think just living a life that most would love to have. Great conversation. It went into some turns there that I wasn't expecting a little bit there, and on faith and spirituality, but just shows you that he is an open and honest guy, wears his heart on his sleeve. And I appreciate Danny being willing to open up and let us have a peek into his world and teach us something. I took a lot from that. I'm excited to listen to that one again, and I hope you enjoyed it. Lots of good things in there. So, again, Danny Bolton, the Boar Man. You can find him on social media. Danny Bolton on Instagram. He's been on Meat Eater. I just saw that I don't know if it's out, but I saw that he had done something with Gordon Ramsay. The guy's all over the place. I see him on Montana Knife Company posts and stuff like that. So the guy's everywhere. I'm going to get out there to Hawaii someday and spend some time with him, and hopefully he'll come to Utah and spend some time with me here. So hope you enjoyed that episode. Again, like, listen, follow M42 Adventures. Tell your friends about it. Please help us spread the word. Share on your social media our links and whatnot. We sincerely appreciate it. We need your help. That's how these small businesses grow. And I promise you, we are changing lives. We are going to change lives. And your like or your share or your follow will help us do that. And so you're part of our plan and part of our community. And we sincerely appreciate that. So thank you so much. Again, pay attention. The Genesis is open and rocking and rolling. We got a lot of good things going on in there. Stay tuned for more experiences. And thank you so much for listening. Bye.